The UK drone rules can be confusing and often put new drone flyers off joining the hobby. There is a way to fly any drone as a recreational pilot within a simple and flexible authorization. The Article 16 authorizations available via groups such as FPV UK is a fantastic way to simplify the rules and fly in more places. You can even fly over people with heavier drones. In a recent poll on our community tab, we asked how many UK drone pilots fly under an Article 16 authorization. The results were interesting, with nearly half of those answering confirming they haven't even heard of it, let alone fly with it. Today I'm going to explain what an Article 16 authorization is, how simple it is to use, and how you can fly heavier drones like this DJI Air 3 in more places and even over people without the need for any further certification or qualification. That is an important point. This is for drones heavier than 250 grams because, of course, they have far greater freedoms than even an Article 16 offers, straight out of the box. Also, this video focuses on the flight of camera drones such as the DJI range rather than FPV self-builds, etc. We will have a separate video coming for that soon. There are also chapters below for those of you who know the basics on this topic. First up, what is an Article 16 authorization? Put simply, this is a permission granted by the CAA to allow members of specific organizations to fly with more freedom in certain locations. Those members have a few hoops to clear, such as a risk assessment of the location, and you need a flyer ID or take the organization's own drone law test. Otherwise, it provides some great freedoms. If you fly under Article 16, you are flying within the specific category and no longer count as an open category flyer. You must adhere to the authorization and the membership guidelines closely, so get to know them. You can also only fly strictly for recreational purposes, no commercial flights at all. The cheapest option at the moment is FPV UK, who offer their membership for just under £20 a year. That membership also gives you a lot of additional offers and benefits, including £5 million public liability insurance for drone and model flying. You're also supporting an organisation whose founder, Simon Dale, does a lot of work behind the scenes for the drone hobby and industry. So you are supporting that work too. Why is it a requirement to be a member to use Article 16? Well, as a member, you have a handbook and guidelines to fly under, and of course you are flying with public liability insurance. So with these hoops, the CAA provide more flexibility in terms of your flights. Article 16 is partly a legal requirement for the CAA to support recreational RC flights in the UK, but it is also a hard-earned authorization by people like Simon Dale of FPV UK. Without their continued hard work, Article 16 would be a lot more restrictive than it even is today. So as I mentioned, it is an operational authorization granted by the CAA to the organisation, renewed now every 2 years. Then as a paying member, you follow the guidelines and fly under that authorization. You can download the FPV UK Article 16 and their handbook via the description, so you can see in more detail in terms of their guidelines, etc. So what are the benefits? The biggest by far is simply being able to fly in more places with less separation using heavier drones. For instance, without any extra certificates I would normally need to fly this DJI Air 3 legacy drone far from people and away from built up areas. In fact, even the A2 CFC would mean I would still need to keep 50 meters horizontally away from uninvolved people. Under the Article 16 authorization, you can fly in any non-built up area which is deemed suitable for drone flight with just 30 meters separation from uninvolved people. Now, rather than the usual horizontal separation you get with something like the A2 CFC, the Article 16 separation is a bubble around the uninvolved people. So you can fly your heavier drone. In fact, the maximum takeoff mass to benefit from the 30-meter separation is 7.5 kilograms at 31 meters over those uninvolved people within your area of flight. Another benefit is that this 30-meter separation can be reduced to 15 meters for takeoff and landing, providing you are taking extra precautions locally. The extra precaution part isn't finite or spelled out, but certainly a risk assessment would help. Even something like ensuring people coming within 15 meters are warned, or that you take action to halt the landing if that should happen. Article 16 really is focused on safety, not catching you out. That sounds great for flights in open fields or locations away from built up areas, but what about flying in towns, etc.? Does the Article 16 authorization allow that to happen? Not with as much freedom, but it is possible in specific locations. Before we move on to the benefits that Article 16 gives you in built-up areas, if you've taken any value from this video and want to see more breakdowns of drone regulations and analysis of some of the hot topics impacting drones worldwide, hit the subscribe button to get notified of more content on release. If you're one of my awesome regular viewers, please also hit the like button. It helps the video and of course it makes me smile. See, it's working. If you want even more Geeksvana, you can get access to a host of exclusive videos available only to our channel members by hitting the join button below or via the link in the description. So back to using an Article 16 authorization in built up areas. You can't just stand at the side of the road and take off 30 meters away from people in a town center and fly under Article 16. It is limited in terms of built up areas to locations used only for recreational purposes, so parks, beaches and alike. For this type of location, you need to complete a simple risk assessment. It really is simple and focuses on safety. You need to keep your flight within the volume of that location. So for instance, you couldn't take off in a park and then fly into a built up area surrounding it to get an orbit of a nearby building, etc. You do still get the amazing overflight benefits and 30-meter separation, reducing to 15 meters for takeoff and landing, though. Something you need to remember in terms of flying camera drones is that you must be doing so through direct control inputs. You can still use things like return to home gesture control orbits, etc., but overall you must be in control of the drone yourself. So here is a simple checklist for both built up and non-built up areas. As you can see, flying under something like the FPV UK Article 16 authorization does give you a lot more freedom in terms of flying heavier drones closer and even over uninvolved people in the UK. The authorization is now on its 6th version and clearly proves that recreational flights of this type flown within the guidelines of organizations like FPV UK are safe. You still need to remember that the rest of the drone regulations are of course in full force, and keep in mind things like Article 241 of the Air Navigation Order when you are assessing a location for suitability. Remember as well that a flight assessment on a quiet weekday at the park will probably need to be reassessed or even scrapped as a location compared to a busy Saturday if the park is suddenly full of footballers, etc. To me, the Article 16 authorization has a lot of value, not only to FPV pilots and model flyers looking to continue their hobby in parks in built-up locations, but also in terms of offering more locations to fly from across the UK for camera drone pilots. Deployed properly, you can get the shots that you need using a higher quality drone and therefore camera sensor whilst flying over people. Sub 250 gram drones are great, but sometimes you need something more heavyweight for a number of reasons. If this permission matches your type of recreational drone flight, and I would argue it should match many hobby flyers out there, it is a genuine opportunity to relax and fly with more confidence, knowing that you're flying within a simple system. If you need a more detailed, deeper dive on how to carry out risk assessments and choose your locations, let me know in the comments below. We can organize a more detailed walkthrough on the channel. Any questions? Let me know those in the comments as well. Sean out.